talk through tools to help build ourselves as well as other leaders in the organization, particularly utilizing the award-winning Lead Now leadership development model and tools. There are books and assessments, trainings, lots of materials to help support, but the power of using a consistent framework to identify leadership expectations is key. We have been utilizing this model for over 10 years with thousands of leaders and organizations across the world. And it's a pleasure to share this with you, again, in hopes that it will benefit you and your clients, internal, external, wherever they might be, to then foster greater leadership in the world. As you can see, this lovely picture of myself and my dad, my father, John Parker Stewart, actually started the business back in 1980. So I've grown up with this business. You can see him here. You're also welcome to visit our website and look at our story and see all of the other people with whom we have the privilege of working. I also have a chance to work with my brother, Peter, who is a PhD psychologist and leads so much of our executive coaching work and team development work as well. So this is a little bit more about who we are, and we specialize in 4 areas: leadership development, team development, change management and organization alignment, as well as talent management. And we have partners throughout the world, including Saqib here with us today. Okay, let me continue on here. Some ground rules. I appreciate the fact that we are a relatively small group because I love discussion, and I would encourage discussion either through the chat, or you can raise your actual hand if you have questions, or your virtual hand as well. I welcome your involvement and comments, and we will get through as much of this material as it makes sense for all of us to be able to then utilize the Lead Now model in the future. 3 ground rules to pay attention to. First is to be present. I invite all of us to be able to be as focused, put our phones away, turn off notifications, be physically and emotionally present for this time together. The second is to be positive, which means that we want to spend the time here together in a way that will produce a positive result. This does not mean that we can't talk about awkward stuff or things that might be hard or uncomfortable. No. What this means is we want to talk through things so that it has a positive outcome. And the third is to be open. Open with our minds for the assumptions that we have so that we can question them and we can learn and we can grow. And also open with our mouth so that we can share our thoughts and ask questions as well. 3 ground rules. How does that sound? Yes? A thumbs up? Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
I welcome involvement.
Okay. Just a small announcement I want to make before we are going to start. I think Mohammed Basit Rana has just put one request in the chat box that please mention your complete name, which you want to be appeared on the certificate, along with your email. So I've seen some people are sending name and email in 2 different messages. So kindly please put your name and email ID in one message so it will be easy for him to send you the certificate at a later stage. Thank you very much. Now, Daniel, we can start.
Wonderful. Excellent. Okay, let me move on here. I want to start off with a definition, an important definition of how we look at leadership. Leadership is truly a future-oriented activity. It is a future-minded activity to be able to then establish direction, to align people, and to help others to work together. It is the type of set of activities that establishes a future vision and helps unite people to be able to accomplish that vision. It does not necessarily mean that it maintains the status quo. It does not just continue to maintain things. It builds, it creates, it improves. And that is key for us because we will use that as a grounding to be able to help discuss leadership moving forward. And this then gets at some key leadership myths that I want to share and would love Sakab's comments as we go through this as well. Because sometimes we can have misperceptions about what great leaders are. We all have different perceptions, either through the news, with politicians, in organizations, with leaders that we've personally worked with, some of whom we say, yes, I admire these certain qualities, and others we say, I do not admire these other qualities. We want to then develop a common understanding of what great leaders do. And so here are 3 myths that some of us may have in the back of our minds. Oftentimes we're taught these things early on. And so we want to then reshape how we might think about what leaders really are. The first myth. The first myth is the assumption that a leader will need to continue to do the same things that they have previously done to then be successful in the future. And one of the greatest challenges with a leader is to be able to learn and adapt and to change, and not to continue to do the same things in the past and assume they will produce the same results in the future. This is often true when somebody gets promoted, because typically when someone is promoted, that means they are very good technically at their job. The same kind of skills that they did to get promoted are usually not the same kind of skills that it requires for them to be successful in the future. One of the hallmarks, one of the strong pieces of evidence of a great leader is that they adapt and change and continue to learn and not always just keep relying upon previous skills. Let me share these other 2, and then Sakab, I'd love your insights as well.
Sure.
So the second one, the second leadership myth, is this assumption, is this idea that as you are a leader, as any of us are a leader, our job is to solve your problems. So when members of your team might come to you, for you or anybody, any leader out there, if they come to you and say, I have an issue, that a leader needs to solve their problem. Not true. A leader instead is to create an environment where people can solve their own problems. This means that a leader needs to be able to empower. They need to remove obstacles. They need to help prioritize. They need to provide the skills and resources and equipment and supplies needed so that their people can do their job successfully, overcoming and solving their own problems. That does not mean that a leader cannot help. And sometimes a leader needs to just go in and solve it, but it's not always. And in fact, most of the time, a leader needs to be able to allow others to solve their own problems and feel empowered to do so. And the third myth, very important. As a leader, if I don't have the right answers, or if I make a mistake, I'm failing. This is false. This is false, but each of us want to be right. We want to have the answers. We want to be the hero. We want to be able to have the right information to share. This is what we strive for, yes. But we want to keep in mind that leaders are also human, and they are learning and they are growing, and they cannot do everything themselves. They need to rely upon their team. They need to rely upon their peers to be able to then shape and be influenced and to influence others. Being a leader is a team sport. It involves others and not just themselves. And being wrong or not having the answer does not mean that you're a poor leader necessarily. It means that you need to continue to learn. and that you're open to new ideas. Now, I'm not talking about a leader who's always wrong and is incompetent at their job. No, I'm talking about a leader who is open to other ideas, open to learning as well. So, Sarka, what insights would you like to share with some of these
Yeah,
myths?
about the first myth that you're talking about, if you can go back and, I can explain it. I'll continue to enjoy the same success. As things are changing at a rapid space, right? Speed. Uh, the way like we used to work in 2019, 2020 has changed the business scenario altogether. Means just think about, have you ever thought to stay at home and while working from there? Even the organizations in which the top management was not looking at the things from this angle, now they are forced to adopt this work from home strategy, and and we are successful. We had a myth, that if until we will not be in the office, we won't be able to work, we won't be able to continue the business, we won't be able to be successful. But we have seen that 2020 has changed all these paradigms altogether completely. So first thing is there. The second thing, as I said, we've been doing something in a way, it's not necessarily that we will be able to continue in the same manner. There is a very good book about it, written by the Marshall Goldsmith. That's which what takes you here won't take you there. So something like that. The book is that it's all about, right? The second one is, as you are leader, I solve the problem. Leader is not here to solve your problems. He is not the master of everything. The basic quality of a leader that he is having a team of people master in their own field, and he knows that who can solve this problem. So he gets you connected with the right people at the right time. And he is empowering, as Daniel has explained, he is empowering the team in a way that the team starts thinking out of the box. They start thinking new ways to solve the issues. They even start thinking uh, to to identify the potential barriers. It's not necessary that whenever you are having a problem and you are able to solve it, then only you are a good team. No, a good team should be which has the ability to identify the potential barriers and to have a mitigation plan in advance to solve the issue, to continue the business in the longer run. And the third one, everybody makes mistakes, but we have to see what is the base of that mistake. Whether it's because of the leader, his own ego, or it was a collective mistake. It could be a collective mistake. That's fine. That is acceptable because the entire team had a consensus on something, which unfortunately things have changed drastically, and we were not able, or the team was not able to reach to the destination. But if somebody we see that okay, its leader is there, it's very difficult for him to manage his ego or her ego. That's the biggest problem, right? We can go forward. Thank you. I think it's enough.
Very good. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. The other thing we want to start off with as we continue to introduce the power of leadership is there are typically three different mindsets that a leader can have as they approach a certain circumstance or situation with their team. The first mindset sometimes is what we called the buddy leader, the friend, the leader who wants to please others, the leader who looks at their team as first and foremost wanting to make sure that they like them. That is a challenging mindset, and in fact, usually does not result in effective leadership because the leader is too willing to then go along with the rest of the team instead of make hard choices and decisions to move the team forward. Another mindset sometimes that leaders have, we call the hesitant leader, the leader who does not truly believe that they are actually the leader, that they feel that there's some sort of an imposter perhaps, that they do not feel like they have actual authority to make decisions, to move things ahead. They're often hesitant. They want to analyze something for a long period of time, or they want to put the issue aside and not face it, or they look to other people above them to make decisions instead of owning the decision themselves. This mindset is typically not effective because it hurts the team. The team is expecting a leader to help set priority and an overall vision. And if a leader is hesitant or does not believe that they have the authority or that they can, or even to have conversations with others and make decisions, that is not helping the team in a level to be successful. And so then there's a third mindset, and we call this the confident leader. This mindset is a leader who is confident in their ability to be in a leadership role. They recognize that because they're a leader does not mean that they are perfect and they know everything. No, but they recognize that they still have responsibility to make decisions, to have uncomfortable conversations, and that sometimes everybody might not like them. They can be friendly, but they are not striving to always be a friend because they have to be able to be the leader for the team. These three different mindsets you may think about, maybe you've personally experienced them, or more likely, you've seen other leaders that you've worked with experience and show the buddy mindset or the hesitant. And hopefully you've seen some leaders be that confident leader as well. The question I have for each of you, as you think of your own leadership ability, as well as the leaders with whom you work, what is their mindset? What mindset do you see? Sometimes when a new leader is just promoted or they get into a new role, maybe they are the buddy wanting to be friends with everybody, or maybe they're hesitant and not quite sure yet. Maybe they're learning. The point is for them to grow out of that into becoming more of a confident leader. And that's the aim of any of us for ourselves, as well as we help support other leaders grow and develop as well. Saqib, any comments that you'd like to share with this as well?
Yeah, that's basically, it's a trap. These mindsets are trap, right? Especially for the people who are new into the leadership role. That first of all, they want to create a win-win situation. Then the entire team likes them, and they want to play around and they want to please them. Then when the time comes to take a decision, especially a hard decision, then they become hesitant. So, and to be a confident leader, you need to practice a lot. You need to learn a lot. You need to sit with your mentors. You need to discuss, and you need to be open to admit that, yes, these are the gray areas I have on which I have to work upon to overcome these things. It comes, sometimes it's already there naturally, but most of the time it comes by the practice over the time, and it requires a lot of cautious efforts. Otherwise, it's really difficult, and that's why we all have seen in our professional life that people who are being in this leadership role since long, but still they are not become confident leaders. They are hesitant while they need to take a decision. They are trying to please unnecessarily the people, and that's why they are not not able to reach to the point. One very important personal or characteristics of the confident leader is that he holds himself accountable when the time comes, and he holds others accountable as well. The buddy leader will never be able to do this. He won't be able to make accountable to the others because he wants to please. And accountability is a big difference. It creates a lot of difference in your leadership style, in your success. It plays an important role. Okay, why? Because until you don't trust your team and your team doesn't trust you, you cannot make them accountable. You will not be open to them that, yes, it was my mistake. It requires a lot of courage to admit your mistakes, right? So only a confident leader can do this. not everyone. The confident leader is never afraid of having a conflict within the team because he wants to please everyone. Now, when we are talking about having a conflict, it means that we are talking about a positive debate to reach to a conclusion, to remove all the ambiguities. So whoever is the part of the team, once the team will start working towards an objective, everybody will be very much clear about the roles and responsibilities and what are the expected outcomes. So that will again, and the third point is the accountability. Until accountability is not there, we cannot hold any. If we cannot identify whose responsibility was to do this, because of that, because of the that we are not able to reach to the point or reach to the objective. So the entire activity, it's useless, waste of time and money and energy, nothing else. Thank you.
Syed Ahmed has a question actually. Syed Ahmed sir, please go ahead. Syed Ahmed साहब आप सवाल कर सकते हैं प्लीज सर, आपने रेज हैंड किया है.
By the time he's not there, I think Aiza has also raised the.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm Syed Suhail Ahmed. Thank you very much the opportunity you provide on the platform of HR Wale. If I go to some of the mindset of the leader has totally changed. A confident leader, what 3 models that I used in my professional life, the number 1 is called 3T. 3T. Number 2 is called 3R, and the last one is called ARA. So nowadays the people can digest the simple terminology rather than go to the. So the first 3T stand for, as Saqib mentioned, trust. A good leader, a confident leader always have a trust to their team members. And the second T is your transparency. That is the main issue in the organization. And the last T stand for the teamwork. If a leader knows this art of how implement this 3T, so he will always, we can call him a confident leader. And second, I'm talking about my experience, that is called 3R. 3R stand for react and response. How your leader is react and respond. On the base of that, the team will have a great result, either result in a positive way or the result in a negative way. And the last, my model, that is called ARA model. Number 1, A stand for acknowledge. A good mindset leader is always acknowledge the teamwork. And sometimes it is missing even in Pakistan context as well as in Malaysia, I had an experience. Second is R stand for respect. And the third one is A. A is totally unavailable in different organizations. That A is called appreciation. So from my side, the input of what mindset of the leader should be, if we follow this 3 simple model, 3T, number 1, number 2, 3R, and the last one is the AR. So this is the input that my mindset in this scenario. Anyone welcome to give the feedback on these 3 models. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Syed Saab, for sharing this 3 T and 3R and ARA model. As we'll go forward and we'll reach to the lead now model, you will see all these things are already there and how we have placed them in 4 different quadrants, and how you will see the impact of these things internally and externally. So we'll explain it, and I think that will be fine, because at the last, when we would have the sessions, the question and answer session, then we can discuss it in more detail. Aiza, I think you also raised the hand if you want to ask any.
Yes, I would actually discuss about the hesitant leader style. I have experience to work with the volunteers, like recent experience, not to work with the people who are, get paid to do the job, but the people who are volunteer, the team of 15 people, team of 30 people, because they are not being paid and it's their choice to work with you. So it's like, really hard to sometimes be very much assertive and just speak up with your mind. Even you know that the things they are saying, it's not right, and the things they are suggesting may be not good in the long run. But because you are running a team of volunteers, it's really get quite challenging. So what's your stance on that? How to handle that situation?
Fine. About your answer again, I would refer the lead now model, because how to solve these issues, it's there. One of the dimension is coaching. Whatever you are saying, because until you will not make them understand what are the impacts, whatever they are saying, as you said, that sometimes they say something which is wrong, you know it very well, but you cannot upfront tell them that you are wrong, because that will demoralize them, as you right. So for this thing, we are suggesting all the leaders to use a coaching model. We have a coaching model as well in Steward Leadership. We have a coaching model, our own coaching model, by the way, and that's an ICF approved, coaching model. So if someone is attending our program, he's getting 12 CPDs for recertification purposes in ICF, which is a big number. 12 is a big number. So we are always recommending a leader that should not be in conflict. Avoid the conflict and use the coaching ability to get the answers, right? I think, Daniel, we can carry on, and then at a later stage, we'll discuss it in detail. Thank you.
I like it. Very good questions. And in fact, as we continue to go through, a lot of these will continue to be answered even further. As we're continuing to prepare and introduce the Lead Now model, I want to be very clear and suggest there are 7 standards of confident leadership. And these 7 standards are key because we want to be able to strive to be that confident leader. And we're going to then build on these 7 standards and get even more specific with clear competencies and skills for each. But for right now, let me be very clear about these 7 here. First, a confident leader unapologetically sets high standards. And that word unapologetically is key, because a hesitant leader or a buddy leader might apologize and say, well, I'm sorry. I don't want to hurt you, or I don't want to cause stress. The confident leader says, look, I care about you, and this is what we want to achieve, and sets high expectations and standards to achieve them. A confident leader also repeatedly communicates the mission to be able to then make sure that everybody understands where they're going and why, and uses language that fits for the other person and not just for themselves. Another standard of a confident leader is one that mirrors the attitude that you want your team to have. They model the behaviors, they model the attitude, they model the approach, so they can be that example to the other team to look to and to follow. The fourth is listening to the feedback of high performers more than the low performers. Sometimes we want to consider everybody's feedback as all important and equal. That is not necessarily the case. You actually want to look to people who are doing well, who understand the vision, and seek their advice and weigh their advice a little bit more than folks who are not performing well. This is important because you want to then promote and encourage those who are focused on the collective end, the result that the team is trying to achieve. Also, focusing on solving problems instead of dwelling on them. This is the solution-minded idea. Great leaders are interested in solving and not just dwelling on the problem itself. And then also reward value and not time. Sometimes we look at effort or time in position as important. Yes, that can be important. However, it is more important to identify the value that you add while you're in the position. What are your contributions? It is a merit-based way of viewing things. It's not just hanging out in a role for a long time. That can be very respectful and important, yes. However, what we're suggesting, it's more important to look at the level of value and contribution that people are providing. And lastly, a great confident leader accepts responsibility and admits mistakes, recognizing that they are not perfect, going back to one of these earlier myths. 7 key standards for a confident leader. Now, we aren't going to talk a lot about these right now. We're going to continue to dive into the rest of the model. We'll see these come up in other ways. We wanted to introduce this early on.
I just want to say, I just want you to share the number of surveys we have made. And after this, we have reached to this number 7.
Oh, sure. So overall, we have thousands and thousands of assessments that we've been able to conduct. Over 8,000, it's up to 10,000 plus of leaders that we have surveyed that have helped us determine and create and reinforce much of the Lead Now model and so many of these points that we're sharing here today. So that's as important to keep in mind. This is not just coming from one person. This is coming from thousands and thousands of leaders across the globe, I will say, over the past 40 years that have helped us create and reinforce so much of what we're teaching here today. So thank you. That's a good point. So I have a question for everybody. What is the tallest tree in the world? That's right. I want you to write in the chat box. And yes, there is a hint with the picture if you can tell what this tree is. What is the tallest tree in the world? Anybody know? Please write in the chat if you know what it is. I will give you a hint. It is hundreds and hundreds of feet tall, 500 to 600 feet tall. In metric, that would be what? 200 to 300 meters tall. These are so incredibly tall. What do you think? We have one guess, pine, close, but not quite, not quite. Any other guesses? I will give you a second hint. It actually grows in California. It grows in California along the West Coast. Bamboos, not quite, not quite. They do get tall, but not quite as tall.
Not redwood even.
And we have the correct answer. Redwood. The official name is the sequoia, the redwood tree. They actually grow in California up the West Coast of the United States. I grew up in California near San Francisco, and we would go camping in the redwood areas. And I will tell you, they do not have little bugs. They do not have mosquitoes. It's very nice. So we go camping there and we would look at these tall trees. What's interesting about these trees is that their roots are very shallow. And you'd think that with such a tall tree, their roots would be deep, but no. They only go about 20 to 30 feet, which what is 5 to 10 meters. And so instead of going deep, they go down a little and go sideways. And they intertwine with each of the other roots. This provides tremendous strength and stability as they rely upon the roots of the other trees. And it enables them to be so strong with any wind or storms at all.
I just want to share one important point about these trees are that the area where these trees are located actually, the usual wind speed is around 60 to 70 kilometers per hour. So you can imagine we are talking about a 300-meter high trees with a very shallow to the deep roots, like hardly 10 meters or 15 meters, which is less than 10% of their actual height, and the wind speed. And if you recall the common standard set by the civil engineering that if you want to go high, you need to go deeper as well. So these trees are totally against that standard.
Thank you. And that really suggests a powerful lesson for leaders. because a leader ultimately has a choice in terms of how they want to dig their own roots, how they want to establish themselves. A leader's choice is, do they create their own roots by themselves, deep in their own way? Or does a leader choose to build their roots and intertwine and rely upon others and use the expertise, use the skills of others to learn from, to grow with, and to combine with? This is an important choice. And I will suggest that leaders who choose to be open to others' ideas, to continue to learn, and to build their roots together and to network and rely upon others actually are stronger in the long run. It suggests some risk, yes, but leaders who do that are stronger. And I applaud all of you to be able to then consider that, because even as you're on this call today, this tells me that you're wanting to learn, that you're wanting to build your roots and intertwine them with the ideas of others. So this is an important metaphor to keep in mind. And now let's take this into understanding relationships. I'd like for you on a sheet of paper, I'd like for you to draw this grid, this cross, okay? And we're going to start using this with some activity.
Yes.
Draw this out on a piece of paper and put your name in the center. Okay, now we want to talk for a moment about different relationships, because again, these relationships are the very kinds of roots that we want to build together. At the top of this grid, I want you to write down the word boss. And I want you to think about, what does the boss typically care most about? What is the language that they speak? What are the things that the boss considers to be most important? Let me pause, and if you'd like, you can write some comments in the chat. What does your boss or the leader of the organization care most about? Take a second and write down any comments in the chat. Yes, orders, getting things done, executing, implementing plans.
Profits.
Absolutely. What was that?
Profit. That's me. Profit.
Yes, profit, money, budget, operational expenses.
Listen to me.
Be able to then get business.
Cost saving.
Yes, cost savings. Exactly. All of these we sum up and call them business results. This is what your boss typically cares most about. That's their job. That's the language of the business. You need to be able to have financial and operational measures, and we need to make sure that it's done well. Understandable. This is the language that you want to use as you talk to your boss. Now, let's go to the underside of this plus diagram. And I want you to write down direct reports. These are your employees. These are your people on your team. And I want you to think about, what do they consider to be important? What is the language that they speak? What are the things that they have on their mind first and foremost? Jot down some ideas in the chat about what you believe your direct reports consider to be most important. What do you think that might be? We'll take a second here, see what some comments are. And again, imagine those who report to you or those who report to others. What are some of the things that they care most about? Oh, I love it. Appreciation, acknowledgement.
Support.
What was that?
It's me. Support.
Support. Thank you. Excellent. Yes. Do I feel supported? Do I feel appreciated? Do I
Smart
feel
KPIs.
Yes. How is my work being measured? How do I show success? What about my own personal career? What about the engagement of my team? How about the relationships that I have on the team? All of these are critical, and we call them the people results. The people results. These results are as important as business results. Because if you just focus on the business side of it, you can produce lopsided or unbalanced leadership. It might work for a time, but you need to be able to focus on both. And the people results, that's typically the language of your team. That's what they speak. Okay, next relationship. Peers. Your peers in the organization, the people who are on the same level as you are. What is the language that they speak? What are the things that they consider to be important? Think through for a second and jot down any ideas that you may have in the chat. What do your peers consider to be most important? What do you think? And again, this is in contrast from the business results and the people results. I love it. Sharing of ideas. Yes, it's that collaboration with others. How are you supporting me? That's another great one. Yes. And oftentimes, what about handoffs and process flow and roles and responsibilities and budget allocation? What resources do you get? What resources do I get? How do they relate? How fair is that process? All of these things we call an internal focus. An internal focus, and this very much describes the language of peers. And so when you work with your peers, they might say, I'm so pleased that your team is accomplishing your numbers and that people like you. Great. And you have good engagement. But what I care most about is the process handoffs, and that you are supporting my team, and that I understand what support I'm getting from you, and that the allocation of budget and supplies is fair so that we can all accomplish results in the end. Yes, please, Sakab.
I just want to share one thing about the internal focus and peers. About there was a farmer, and every year he used to win the prize for the best crops. So one of the person, he approached to him and he said, "What is the feedback? What is the key behind your success? Every year you are winning the best crop prize. So what exactly you do? You must be using a very good seed." He said, "Yes." Then others are using they may use the same as well. He said, "Yes, but actually what I do, that whenever I'm buying the seeds, I'm not only buying for myself, but I'm also buying for my neighbors. And I'm giving them free of cost." So the person was amazed. He said, "Why?" Because he said, because, there is a cross pollination. So the birds and different kind of species, they are coming from here to there. And so once I have all the same kind of crops around my farm, so there is no danger. My farm is not in danger. They are getting the same kind of pollination. And that helps me to grow the right crop, right? So similarly, in the organization, we have to share the good with the others. So they will start sharing the good with you as well to be successful. This is the basic job of a leader.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I just wanted to have sharing a good things, or sharing a good impression, creating a good words, using a better or a motivated something phrases. I really like it. It seems very good. Much about it. It seems good. But what do you think about positivity when it goes into toxication? I think so that is there there would be some level where this positivity can create a toxic people. We can feed them. Toxic. We make them toxic. You know what you say about it? Well, I just have a random question, matlab. I guess Masud.
Would you like to answer, Daniel, or shall I?
Go ahead, Saqib, and then I'm happy to provide.
Yeah, fine. Actually, see what I have understand. Correct me if I'm wrong. That we keep doing good and good and good, and some people start taking it for granted, right?
So toxic. I am just saying toxic because that too much positivity. I believe that too much positivity can create a person mindset toxic. Toxic
Fine.
means too much positive, But now I just want it to be a negative here, yeah. I like it, now. But like, why do I stopping it to be negative here? It hurts me. I want to show it that it hurt me.
See, this is not negativity. The main thing is, again, if you have a trust, you have to develop that trust. There is nothing. There is nothing exists with the name of by the name of negativity, right? Only the way you are communicating that creates a negative impact. If you are asking a bad thing to someone in a way that you are helping him, he'll start or she'll start taking it positively. So the way you are communicating, you are telling him or you are trying to exploit it. If somebody has made a mistake, you are telling him to rectify, or you are trying to take the advantage and you are trying to use that thing to pull his leg or her leg. That makes a lot of difference.
Let's suppose
there is no positivity. Means I'm not saying that positive everything you are, whether a person is doing something bad and doing something bad and you keep praising him. No, this is not the right way. This is not the right way. There is nothing always positive. Sometimes you need to say negative things, but your tone, your selection of words, your timing, that makes a lot of difference. So you need to be aware about those things. Where, what, how, when to say, and what to say.
It means it requires a conscious effort to maintain, to control yourself, to be conscious every time. Because we are dealing in organization, we deal with the different temperaments, not a character, right? Yep. And when we talk about temperaments, it gives us a challenge. Somebody has a temperament to communicate in a louder way. Hello, Daniel, how are you? And Daniel says, what the hell, matlab, why are you talking like this, right? So thank you so much, Masood. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent comments. So as we look at this fourth relationship, customers, what is the language that customers speak? What are the things that customers consider to be most important? Go ahead and jot some of those ideas in the chat as well, because this is the fourth critical relationship. We've talked about the boss, direct reports, peers, and now the fourth is customers. We want to identify what is the language of customers. What do they care most about? Go ahead and jot some ideas, type some ideas in to the chat to be able to help.
Let me give you a small hint. It's a trap as well, right? So be careful.
Absolutely, the stakeholders and who are the people who represent them, and what are the various interests, for sure. What else? As you're kind of commenting here, I'm going to sum this up as well by saying that so much of what the customers are interested in, we call an external focus. And yes, just like the comments coming in, the customers want to feel understood. They want to feel heard. They want to know, do you understand my needs? Do you understand my needs before I do? Do you understand what alternatives I have in the marketplace, the competitive landscape? And do you deliver on the products and services in a way that you say you will? Because I, as a customer, have choices, and I may choose not to go back to you. This is the customer perspective, understanding their voice, understanding their needs, and being very clear that you do understand them. and that you're able to then convey that to them. These are the 4 critical relationships that all leaders need to pay attention to. And each of the relationships consider different things to be important. One of the traps that leaders can fall into is looking at the boss and using the business results perspective to speak to everybody else. And that is not necessarily what motivates them. It is not necessarily what connects with them the most. You need to personalize how you build each relationship. And this forms the foundation to be able to help explain how to do that. Now, we can take this one more step, because what happens is something powerful. As we look at these 4 critical relationships and we have them intersect, we discover there are 4 key leadership behaviors, leadership areas to pay attention to. So for example, as business results interacts and intersects with external focus, it is all about creating purpose, being clear about the direction, a key leadership behavior. And then coming back, as business results intersects with internal focus, it is all about delivering excellence inside the organization. And then as internal focus intersects with people results, it is all about developing self and others. This is about coaching and developing effective teams, managing your time wisely. And then as people results intersects with external focus, this is all about leading change. Leading change to be able to explain something new, to innovate, and to then grab not just the head, but the heart of others in the organization so that they can believe in it and work toward it as well. As we think of these 4 critical relationships, it then becomes into 4 key leadership quadrants, we call them. And these 4 leadership quadrants define what great leadership looks like. In some ways, I look at this image. This image is from a world famous gymnast several years ago. I actually did gymnastics when I was younger. I was never able to do this move. This is incredibly hard. It is one of the hardest moves in any gymnastics event. It's actually called the Iron Cross. And what it requires is there are 4 points of contact. You have to remain strong with your head all the way through your legs, and of course with both arms. It requires strength and balance as they maintain all 4 of those points to be able to then keep this pose.
By using your backbone.
Yes, by using a backbone and having courage and confidence. And so the invitation is for each leader to develop leadership muscle in all 4 of the areas of the Lead Now model so they know how and when to use each. And we can go one more step. As we look at the 4 quadrants, we can dive one more level and look at 21 different leadership dimensions or competencies. And these provide guidance so that leaders know exactly where to focus and further develop. It's kind of like a buffet. When you might go to dinner and there are so many wonderful choices and meals and food out, you cannot eat all of them at once. But you take a plate and you take a little bit of each, or just of a couple of things. And that's what you start with. The same idea holds true with these 21 dimensions. A leader can look at these 21 and say, which 1 or 2 areas are we able to then focus on at a time? Just pick 1 or 2 to build leadership muscle in a way that would help elevate your ability to lead others effectively. So as we look at each quadrant, in quadrant 1, it is all about communicating effectively, managing the customer, thinking strategically. As we look at the second quadrant, operational excellence, this is about decision making, solving problems, showing integrity as you work through and interact with others. And then as you look at the third quadrant, it's developing self and others. This is all about building effective teams, coaching and leveraging people's strengths and having candid conversations, being able to manage your time and your own personal development, and then leading change. This is all about engaging others, inspiring that commitment as you introduce new ideas and as you grow and develop in the organization. This model essentially describes what great leadership looks like. And it also provides an easy way of assessing and evaluating what leaders need to do further to develop. There are a variety of assessments and tools all around this. And in fact, we can spend some time, if you have questions, talking about this, because a model is not enough. A model is a starting point. A model helps clarify expectations. It helps get common language. And then you're able to have the right development conversations. And so thus we have complete coaching programs. We have assessments, both a self-assessment and a 360-degree assessment, to be able to understand how everybody around you views you as a leader, all using the 21 dimensions, a part of the Lead Now model. We have videos, we have award-winning books and training. All of these are tools to then be used as appropriate to be able to help support leaders, because we believe strongly that leadership is not just a one-time thing.
Yep.
It is an ongoing journey. And all of us every day need resources. We need support as we strive to be our best leader.
Okay.
Especially
Actually,
as we get promoted or need to continue on in our leadership journey. Please, Saqib.
in simple words, we are not focusing on a day or 2 days program. Actually, it's a learning journey starting from an assessment. Based upon the assessment, we are asking the people to come and join the training program, where we are elaborating them or defining them the assessment outcomes, and based upon the assessment outcomes, they are developing their own IDPs, the individual development plans. And that's how, then we have the coaching sessions. We have the subsidiary program as well, as I said, the coaching model and change management model as well, change leadership program are there. So it basically, the complete suite has all 3 programs, assessments, books, coaching cards, and a lot of other support is available. And time to time, we are conducting different programs online as well. We are keep sending the invitations to the members who have already completed our programs, who have attended this journey, completed the journey, to keep supporting them in this journey. As I said, leadership is not something injectable that you can buy from the market, and as soon as you inject it into your body, you can say that, okay, I've become a leader. So that's the whole idea is behind.
Thank you. Excellent comments. And I will briefly say, we designed this model based upon years of research, but we also designed it to be practical. Practical for busy leaders to be able to implement and use during their busy days and their busy lives. But proven tools and approaches to be able to develop leaders at all levels and to have a common language and set of tools as well. So I'll just pause. Are there any questions or comments about the
So only one information, the piece of information I just would like to share. Actually, this model was a classroom-based model, but we have designed the online version as well. So live online, it can be conducted. If somebody is interested, he can approach us, and we'll be able to do it completely online. So whether my presence in Pakistan, it's not required anymore. I can do it from Saudi Arabia even.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. It's all classroom based as well as virtual. Excellent point. So please continue to ask questions or as we go through this, let me share some great research that's been done to be able to identify what great leadership truly looks like. And so
Daniel, we need to be a bit quick, huh? Because we are running short of time now. It's already 6:08. So, and 8:30 we are going to finish. So, I believe, right?
yes, I was thinking of sharing this and then maybe skipping ahead to a few other slides as well. How does
Yeah,
that
exactly. We can.
I like it. Yes, this is great. So some research to quickly share. So a survey of 60,000 leaders was asked, what makes a great leader? And the question is, if a leader was seen as being strong on business results, how many people said that they were a great leader? So if they were good on business results, maybe not as good on the people side, how many people said that they're considered to be a great leader? And the reality is only 14% said they were great. Maybe they could get the job done, sort of, mostly. But were they great? Not necessarily. Now, what if we switch? And so the same question was asked by these people. If a leader was really great on the people side, how many people would call them a great leader? And maybe they aren't as good on the business side. 12%. Again, very low in terms of what great leader is. So then the question is, if a leader is great on the people side and the business side, how many people would regard them as a great leader?
20%.
So high, 72%. 72%. And I would guess that many of you on this call would probably give similar answers. As you think of great leaders that you've known, I would bet they likely are strong on the business and the people side because it requires both. And so the reflection for you is to ask yourself how many of your leaders are strong on both business and people, and how could some of these Lead Now tools benefit them, be able to help clarify the expectations of what a great leader looks like, and to give them opportunities to select from the 21 leadership dimensions which areas they want to further develop themselves in. So things to consider. I want to share a couple of other ideas, and I might zoom ahead through some slides. But again, this is a recorded session, I believe, and others will be able to see this later on as well. Let me kind of go through this quickly. And I want to share some research. Which quadrant do you think is the lowest? So we took a sample of 2,000 assessments from our large database because we wanted to understand which quadrant do leaders typically do well. And I'd like for you to think about which of the 4 quadrants do you think leaders typically do well, and which of the quadrants do you think they typically don't do well? And you can reflect on your own organization to see if this is true. So as we review, I'd like you to think about, and don't answer yet, is it the first quadrant? The first quadrant is all about delivering that purpose, that mission, communicating effectively, understanding the customer needs, thinking strategically. Or could it be the second quadrant, which is all about delivering excellence, making good decisions, solving problems in appropriate ways, involving others?
Daniel, just I want to add one thing about the first quadrant. Usually we have a common saying that customer is always right. But if you review this quadrant, you will come to know that customer is not always right. You have to make, sometimes you have to make him right as well, because the customer is asking it's not beneficial for him or her, or it could be beneficial at this point of time, but in a longer run, it will not work. So that's your job to make him understand or her understand that what they are asking, yes, it is beneficial for the time being, but in the longer run, it will not be. So what exactly is the right fix for their problem?
Good points. Excellent points.
Thank you.
As we continue to go through this, as Saka was mentioned with the first quadrant, could it be the second, the third, which is all about developing self and others and the team effect and coaching others and developing others? Or could it also then be leading change, introducing newness? So let me share with you the results of our findings. I'm going to take away the most effective quadrant first, and then at the end, we'll show you what is the lowest quadrant. And I want you to think about if this is true for you and your organization as well. Typically, leaders are most effective at the first quadrant, creating purpose, understanding what you need to do from a strategic direction. Next, leaders are typically most effective at the second quadrant, delivering excellence. And then, according to our research, there is a very large difference, a very large drop. And these last two quadrants are rather low in effectiveness, unfortunately. And oftentimes we look at these two quadrants as also relating to emotional intelligence. That's another way of looking at this model. These two lower quadrants are all about emotional intelligence. And so in some way, it's not surprising that they also are the lowest, because that's where oftentimes we struggle as leaders. That third quadrant is the third lowest, and the fourth quadrant is actually the lowest according to our research. More leaders perform this poorly. They are not as effective at leading change. And yet, look at how much change is going on for so many of us in so many of our organizations. And effectively leading change is critical for us to be effective leaders. So let me share something about the Lead Now 360. I don't know how familiar you are with 360-degree assessments. It's the idea of you take an assessment around you, your boss completes the same one, your team completes the same assessment, your peers complete, and your customers. We have a 360-degree assessment that's completely online, and people are able to then complete it to be able to have a better sense of how they are perceived by others. A powerful tool to be able to be utilized during training courses, as well as one-on-one coaching. I will also say we have a second assessment, and that other assessment is what we call a self-assessment.
Self-assessment.
And this self-assessment does not involve others, but it enables you to compare yourself up against the 21 dimensions. And it's a powerful way to have a conversation with yourself, to be able to identify where you want to develop, what you want to do to improve. And you pick one dimension at a time, and then you're able to create an action plan to further develop yourself.
And the important part about important thing, sorry to cut you off, important thing about this 360 is that we encourage you to have a minimum 2 people in each side, right? We don't suggest to rely on one person. So if you are talking about your boss, we encourage you to go up to your boss's boss as well. So then, as you know, if you have a bigger number of responses, you will find the right feedback about yourself in a 360 manner.
Yep, great point. Great point. Yeah, the 360, the power is getting lots of perspectives. So that's one assessment. And yes, there's a second one, which is different than the 360, and that's just the self-appraisal as well. Good points.
There is a question on YouTube channel.
Please.
May I allow? A person name is Sigma Screenshot. This is the alien's name actually, but he is asking or she is asking, so do we define a leader based on success of the institution, business wise, or do we define him a leader being popular on the people side? This is the question which we are receiving.
I think we have already answered this. The survey shows it that the 72% people says that they want to have people who are successful, both successfully means organizational wise, result wise, as well as the social wise as well. So there is no bias. There is no bias. And this is what we have been discussing since long, that, a leader needs to be in balance from all these aspects.
Okay. The second question the same guy is asking, thank you, sir. Is that balance possible between these two different aspects, business wise and people wise?
Yes, it is. That's how, out of this 60,000 answers, we have got this such a big number, 60,000 surveys, and we have got this answer, 72%. People are saying, the leaders we are talking about, we are saying. Yes, it is. And we see a lot of people, are around us, the leaders, who are maintaining this balance successfully.
Okay. This is my question. Actually, 360, usually I take it 360 is a feedback tool. But you are saying you can assess, or it can be used as an assessment. Could you please share some more detail about 360 assessment? What is the role in this model? Thank you.
Fine. Self-assessment is reflecting what you think about yourself. And 360 is showing that what other people are thinking about you. And we are giving them the hint. We are using these 21 dimensions as a parameter against which they are evaluating you. So it's a very candid feedback we are asking them to provide. And then we are evaluating your responses with the responses others have given to you. And that basically provides us the gap. And that gap basically is helping us to identify, to set the priority while establishing your IDP.
IDP, okay. Wouldn't that be difficult to rely on the feedback received from customers, whether they would be enough capable to give you the right feedback, which can lead you to the right direction? I have a question actually.
Yeah, fine. But you are right. But basically, if you will see the actual assessment, the language of that assessment is very soft. So that language makes a lot of difference. They are not asking any pinpoint question. They are just saying, okay, what do you think about, he will do this, he will do that, So the person is giving us the first time reaction based upon his past experience. So that's why we can rely upon him.
Thank you, Mansur. Thank you.
Thank you.
These are excellent questions, and I want to reserve additional time for questions. Let me just share one thing as we finish, and then we can have additional questions here. All of this that we're talking about here today is to help create an action plan, because Lead Now is based on action that we believe leaders develop as they act, as they move, as they do. And so the idea is to be able to look at the Lead Now model, look at the award-winning books, take the 2-day experience class workshop, go through a coaching process, assess whatever needs to happen to be able to then identify what's the one area that you want to then work on. And then to use all of these tools and resources to help you improve in that area. And after 3 or 4 months, you may pick a new area. Great. But the point is to pick something, create an action plan like the one that I have on the screen, and to move forward, to get the support and tools that you need to be able to be effective. And so my invitation to everybody here today is to identify how this Lead Now model might help you and your leaders develop, because it clarifies what great leadership looks like. And then it provides all of the tools and assessment and training and follow-up to enable busy leaders to get there. So On that, I thank you so much for this time. And I'm going to jump ahead here and share the SACP's information here as we open it up in the last 10 minutes or so for any additional questions around the model and how this can be applied to help support you and your leaders. What questions might I help answer, or SACP can help answer, as he is our representative for much of the Middle East, especially in Pakistan and in Saudi?
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Wonderful question.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. शाहजहां इंदर साहब, आप कोई सवाल करना चाह रहे हैं सर? कोई सवाल है तो प्लीज बताइए.
Delhi, I think okay. You stop sharing the screen, so we all will be on the same screen, and then people can raise the hand. I think that will be
Sure.
easy for
Of
us to
course.
take the questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Of
great.
course.
Yes, please raise the hand. Yeah, Dr. Saab, Dr. Mohammed Asif.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
What is the difference between the coach and the mentor and the leader in steward model?
Okay, mentor is someone who has the experience in this particular field in which you are talking about. So he gives you suggestions. Coach doesn't give you any suggestion. He just make you realize that whatever you are doing, is it correct for you or not? So usually we guys are in habit of seeing things from one dimension. That's our own perspective, right? The coach responsibility is that he will take you around and he will get you familiarized with the other dimensions which you have neglected or oversighted while you were planning or you were establishing your own plan, right? So he doesn't need to be an expert in that particular field. And similar thing we have. Now, in lead now model, if you're talking about, yes, the leader, as I mentioned, as I replied to Isa at the beginning, a leader needs to be a good coach. Someone says that leaders should always avoid a conflict. Only by using the coaching methodology, a leader can avoid the conflict. And he can make the other people understand what they are doing. Is it right for them or not? That's why we are encouraging people, especially the leaders, to spend more time in the planning phase, in the team building phase. So once you have you'll be successfully establish the trust between the team and you, then you won't be having any issue of this kind. This is the one-time investment, but you need to recall it time to time. This is one of the part of the mission of the leader, that he needs to recall that, yes, I believe in you and you should believe in me as well.
Thank you so much. And as you know, we have the personal beliefs and the personal values. And what is the impacts of our personal beliefs and values in a good leadership?
Fine. The good leadership is that being a leader, you should be aware about your team background as well. The missing part usually we are having that when we are having a leader, we are a leader in the office. So we are just focusing on the official matters. We are totally neglecting the personal side of the person. Once we'll be aware about the background of a person, of my team member, then definitely I will avoid to use any word or any statement, or I'll put any situation, I'll put him or her in a situation which can which can make him offended. That's very simple.
And how you will evaluate the personal beliefs and values and emotional intelligence in the steward model?
Sir, that's the assessment will let you know about. For that, we have the assessment.
Is there any tool available in the steward model to evaluate the personal beliefs and values?
Yeah, that's what
emotional intelligence.
See, as far as personal beliefs are concerned, nobody can evaluate because those are really very, very personal things. But by completing the assessment, you can get an idea that what kind of a personality is sitting from before you. And then, you can link those outcomes with the past experiences and statements and incidents. Any other?
Thank you so much.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Karthik.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Yes, I like to actually want to have your insight about this 360 degree, because this actually reminds me, in the performance management system, we use for the performance appraisal, we use this technique of 360 degree appraisal. The technique actually, talks about that when we want to appraise an employee, we ask the employee to, take the opinion from your boss, from your colleagues, from your direct reports, customers. Yes, if you are actually dealing with the customer. So this actually technique, get me back to that technique in the performance management system. And many organizations, when they apply that technique, they face very much difficulty and challenge for this system, and many using it. So I understand. You're using this technique. So I want to understand what kind of difficulties you face when you ask people to, go about and try to get as much feedback as you can. Like,
Okay.
and on the grounds, the difficulties, I want to understand that.
See, the first difficulty is to get the responses on time. This is the biggest difficulty, right? So for that, we are conducting small sessions like this, and we are explaining them the purpose.
Okay.
Plus, the one thing why people are not showing their responses, that they are afraid of that. Okay, if I mark this guy, or graded this guy lower in something, so it will be. So we are giving them very clear. We are telling them that your confidentiality will be maintained and the report will be provided that will be anonymous. So like we are having 12 people providing feedback. So we are not giving them that, okay, person A has provided this, person B has provided this, person C has provided this. That's okay. Your peer has provided, peer's feedback is like this. That's an aggregated one. So that makes them confident, and they are sharing the full feedback.
I have another question on this line. Okay, so if you go about and doing this, are you actually consulting that particular organization when you conduct this 360 degree individual plan, or is it one-to-one person?
It could be one-to-one as well, but mostly we are suggesting the entire organization, because if one person is going, it will be very difficult for him to work on the IDP, right? So
Yes.
the change, we are talking about a change. It's a whole revolution. I think you must have identified, and you must have understand. We are talking about the changing the entire organization upside down. So this is recommended that the entire top management should go for this thing, and then we can go down the line.
Yes. That's what actually I was wondering, because I'm from academia and I understand this thing very much. When we go for the feedbacks, it's usually biased. If you are not actually very much clear that your feedback will not be shared. Like, for instance, we have this tendency, majority people, we like to please people. Like, being a hesitant leader, I have the issue, but I actually shared, is like, because they are my volunteers, and if they don't like me, they will leave me. Right. So in the organization, if your colleagues will actually give you bad ratings, so what I would do, I get back to you and I will give you bad ratings. Right. So I want to understand the real challenges you face, because I believe this is very important for the organization to understand that if you want to go for this at least model, I believe the fruit would only be beneficial if the whole organization is on board, not the individual.
Yes. The first thing about the doubt you have shown, it's doubt is there if you are asking very direct questions. As I said, it's a psychometric based assessment. So we are not asking the direct questions. So people doesn't aware about that. Okay, the responses they have given, where it's going to fulfill, or where exactly it's going to be linked on, right? The first thing is yes. The second thing is these are all online. So when the person receive, nobody knows, he will just get one web link. He has to just log on and he will do it, finish, and automatically the system will even ourselves, if we want to know that who has given what kind of feedback, then we have to go to the there is a lady, we have our colleague, she is responsible for this. We have to make a special request to her that please provide this kind of thing. Otherwise, these details are not available. The system is generating the report and it's giving to us. And it comes to us, right? And we are not giving it to you until you are not into the session. So we are giving the report during the sessions only.
Wow. Like you, I loved it. Actually, the reason I'm asking the question, I loved it. Like having an idea is one thing, execution it to the point of end point level when you actually know that people behaviors are there, because there, you know, so many levels. People think, I love it. But if people are hearing here, I would actually suggest whole organization should go for it if they actually want their team to, you know, develop and their leaders to grow. One department, no. I guess whole organization should get on board with this program.
Actually, the purpose of this session was not to market. Actually, we want to make aware about the people about this model, right? That's why we have not shown you anything about the customers, what kind of customers we've been working with. There are big names. Once you will go to the website, I would request all of you to just go to the stewardleadership.com and you will find a lot of information over there about since how long we've been working. There is a video library as well. You can go and you can see a lot of videos are there. You can search us on YouTube as well. You know, we are available on YouTube as well. So plenty of things available. Why these big companies are investing so much? How many, Daniel, how many in total a team of consultants we have in US and Canada and China? It's around 100 plus, right?
Not quite that large, but we are continuing to grow so much, and we have so many consultants and coaches throughout the world. Yes,
we have our coaches in, like I'm myself in Middle East. We have another lady, Maha. She's based in Egypt. She's in there. We have partners we have signed in Turkey as well recently. So you know we are growing as well. Why we are growing? Why organizations are coming to us? Because this is something very practical.
Yes.
This is something really practical. It's not something in the air. This is not something very glittery only, you know, that people will come, we'll just conduct the training programs, good timing, good lunch, good dinner, finish. After that, what is the takeaway? Nothing. No, we are emphasizing you to establish your IDP and carefully. It's not something just we want to make you a hyper, you know, that you become hyper, okay, I will work on 5 things. That's not possible for you. That's not possible for everyone. So carefully select the top 2 or maximum 3 areas, 3 dimensions where you would work upon. And then that's why Lead Now or Steward Leadership with working some of the clients since years, because they have large number of people and, you know, first layer, then second layer, and sometimes this first layer, first time, then second time to work on the rest of the things.
I like it. Actually, from the researcher perspective, I really, you know, can see, okay, the idea and the execution is actually, you know, integrated very well. So that's the reason I like, you know, engage in such kind of a conversation. I love to go and actually see this.
One more important thing, steward leadership, if you are talking about in steward leadership that, you know, you have to develop yourself. So we are developing ourselves as well. Every quarter, you know, we are meeting, we are having a program of this kind. We've been put in different kind of, you know, breakout rooms. We are discussing, we are presenting our things to the others, and then others are asking questions and we are answerable to them as well. So it's a whole continuous process of development for us as well.
You guys are doing I must say.
Job, you guys. Thank you, Aiza. Thank you so much for everyone. It's now 35 to 11. It's Daniel Stewart. Thank you so much. Humbly thankful you have given us a 5-star in our HRM Alliance YouTube channel. And Saqib Mansoor, you are the great buddy. You are a member of HRM Alliance since long years. Aiza Anwar, thank you so much for listening to me and giving me respect. And thank you so much, Dr. Asif Saab, Sayyid Ahmed Saab, Mohammad Murad Saab, Shahjahan Inder Saab, Babar Shahbaz, Sana Sumro, Abdul Aziz Somro, Tania Afan, Ali Abdul Hassan, Sabah Khan, Sajid Sabah, Zubia, and Rana Imran. Thank you for listening me. और हमारे चैनल में आने का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, सवालात करने का शुक्रिया, शेयरिंग ऑफ मॉडल. ये वीडियो जो है HR वाला है YouTube पे हम शेयर कर देंगे. आपके जिन लोगों ने ईमेल एड्रेस और अपना नाम शेयर कर दिया है, हम उसे सर्टिफिकेट जरूर शेयर करेंगे। और सबा खान साहिबा हैं कोई यहाँ पे जिन्होंने अपना ईमेल एड्रेस शेयर नहीं किया है, गुजारिश है आप प्लीज अपना ईमेल एड्रेस शेयर कर दें ताकि वी कैन शेयर सर्टिफिकेट विद यू, सबा खान साहिबा। बाकी थैंक यू सो
Thank
मच।
you.
और कोई गलती हो, कोई भी हवाले से कोई कमी रह गई हो, डैनियल, इफ देयर एनीथिंग व्हिच वी हैव डन रॉन्ग or something went unintentionally, please forgive
It's a very good
us.
program. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
We learned
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so very much for sparing time. Thank you.
My
Bye-bye.
pleasure.
Take
Thank
care of
you all.
yourself. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Daniel. Thank you.
Allah Hafiz. Allah
Thank you, Sakib. Thank you, Basit.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Basit sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asaf. Thank you so much.
Thank you.